Today, I have a very unique action figure unboxing video for you. It was inspired by my friend Toy Father, one of my fellow toy daddies of the Toy Pick community, because he has been bringing in his own father to some of his unboxing videos. It's a way to share his current hobby with his father. And I thought, man, that is such a cool and wonderful idea. And with my own father, we've always shared baseball. That's been our jam forever and ever and ever. And since I've been a dad, so for the last 6 years, as I've gotten more into one of my other hobbies, which is action figures, toys, collectibles, and now toy photography, we haven't had that sports connection as tight as it once was, because now I'm not as knowledgeable as to every person on the Yankees, for instance. So I thought that this would be a really cool way for me to even find out more about my father's childhood. I feel like probably as people, maybe we don't do it enough, or maybe it's just speaking for myself. I don't do a good enough job asking these type of questions to understand where my parents' walks of life brought them to me being here in front of you. So that being said, I hope you enjoy today's conversation with my father, who grew up in a firefighter household. I think it's important to understand that there are people out in the world that choose to make sacrifices for the betterment of other people. And part of this is hearing about that familial sacrifice that exists when a person chooses to go into this life of service. So we're about to get going, and he hasn't seen it yet. Shh. Don't look. Don't look. So we're about to get going, and he hasn't seen it yet, but I can't wait. I'm so excited to share with him my current passion and love of action figure collecting and show him the G.I. Joe Firefighter. This is so cool. Okay. So here is my father. I am a junior, so come on, this is Yimbo, this is Yimbo Senior right here. So as I was just saying, look at this shirt. Again, we share the hobby of baseball, the passion of baseball our whole lives. And like when I got to visit the Field of Dreams with a couple of friends, when I saw they had this shirt, hey dad, want to have a catch? I was like, oh, that's it. I need to have it. So I was explaining at the start of this video that, you know, we always had baseball, at least baseball to me has always been like the number one shared thing, you know, because it's always been a constant.
Yeah. Between fall ball, summer ball, spring ball.
Yeah. So, you know, like, and I know you've been supportive of my journey doing toy photography and making these videos, and, you know, it's all in the action figure realm, which again, growing up, you've seen me always love toys. So it shouldn't be a shock to anybody. No. But I don't, for us, as I have gotten deeper into action figures, I have lacked my sports knowledge. So like we haven't had, so I wanted to be able to share with you my current hobby. Baseball's still a thing, but this way now I can kind of introduce you to what toys have become now.
Okay.
All right. So the other big thing that I wanted to talk about is, and this is going to be in relation to your childhood, which is growing up in a firefighter household. So this is going to kind of now spoil. So I wanted to show, first I'm going to borrow my daughter's bag here. But if you could take that toy out, because I wanted to get your reactions.
Oh, wow. Fireman G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Firefighter.
So how cool, like, this is not what action figures looked like, obviously, at any point in your life growing up.
No. At one point, near the end of my playing with toys, and at the beginning of your playing with toys, we did get a fire truck with little firefighter figures. But all they were little plastic guys whose helmets could come off. And that was it.
Could the helmets even come? I was trying to remember, because
I think the helmets would pop off. And so we lost them right away.
Right. But there were these little white, 5 points of articulation, like just little white bodies with like the little heads, and then the fire helmet.
Yeah.
But oh man, so this is a very big upgrade. So at this point, I'm taking everything out in front of my dad. So this way, as he sees things that he remembers from his childhood experience living with my grandfather, his father, and what he got to see. So here we go. As I take these things out, what are you noticing? Feel free to pick things up.
Well,
What the heck is this thing?
that's a Halligan tool. And that's a firefighter's best friend, really, because you can see the different angles on it and whatever. And that can open windows, open doors, break locks, break chains, get the firefighters into a place that's burning, save some people, get the smoke out.
That's crazy.
The Halligan tool. Yeah.
And I still have a few more things to go, but with some of the stuff that we just noticed, I showed you. I was like, look, they even have a Jaws of Life. Look how crazy is that?
Yeah. Wow. G.I. Joe came prepared. He's got a short turnout coat, but he's looking good over there. Yeah. Jaws of Life. Okay.
All right. So we kind of know the rest of these, the various hammer, sledgehammer-y type things.
Yeah.
A couple of axes right there. There's actually 3 axes all together.
According to whatever you need.
Now this is oxygen tank?
Yeah, that's a Scott air pack.
Okay.
Oxygen tank. Yep, it is. It would attach to a mask, so there's probably a mask in there. Yeah. Well,
yeah, there we go.
There we go. Yep. There we go. Yeah. I remember my father explaining how much air they had and how a warning bell would go off before it would run out, so they would know to get out of the way, get out of the building.
I wonder where that's gonna. If that's just pops into one of here.
Probably right there. Yeah.
Yeah. They do give you 2 versions, which I think is really cool. Gives you some options.
Okay. Two guys.
Two various individual people.
Yep.
So that's good too, because this is called an army builder. So you can buy multiple versions of these to have a whole squad. I only got the one to share with you. But if you think you might want one of these as a desk figure, I saw some at Target. But the fire helmet there, the 609.
Yep.
Crazy. Look at these details. Like, feel free to pick these things
amazing.
up. This is nuts. And then the last little piece here, we have goggles.
The goggles, safety goggles. That's for when they're using the Jaws of Life or anything that they're smashing around.
Yep.
Very cool. Wowee.
So, does he feel here? If I hold this and you could stick your hands in there, does that feel? How is he moving him around?
The toys that I grew up with didn't articulate like this, so it feels very cool. The type of thing that I'm gonna have to deal with my grandchild. Onto this thing in his back. Mm-hmm. So he actually. We live?
Yeah, we recorded because this is the type of stuff I wanted to hear.
The Scott Air Pack would actually snap onto this guy's back. So it really is like the real deal.
Oh, it's going to flip over.
There
we go.
There we go. Okay, so you have to do it correctly. And then, as you were doing before, the mask would go over his head.
So the mask is independent to the goggles. The goggles would be its own separate.
Oh, the goggles are the first. Yeah. Maybe just smashing a windshield to get into a car. And this looks like it would probably connect right there.
It's going to connect.
Right there.
It's in the front.
Yeah. Well, you want the guy to be able to reach it.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's in the back, he'd be going crazy trying to find it. There we go. Look at that guy. Cool. I wonder if his helmet goes on over it all.
I'm sure.
I don't know. Or maybe I should have had. I don't know.
You know what? We may have had to. Because looking at the back of the box over here, he doesn't have the mask on, but with the. Oh yeah, it doesn't have the helmet on. It does. You know what? On the back, it does not show.
That's why he's got the fireproof hood.
Right.
Okay, the asbestos hood.
That's so neat.
Very cool.
And then check this out. I was gonna let you open that piece up. That was another last little accessory that was included in here.
Well, it's the type of thing that you could throw over a fire. Right? Yeah. They have these in a chemistry lab or whatever in schools. So it's that type of thing, but it reminded me that years ago, firefighters would have these big nets, big trampoline type things, and they could tell people jump off the roof or jump out that window, and they would be standing there holding the trampoline type thing to catch them.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, back now we're talking probably in the 50s or 60s, in the firehouse where my father would be showing my brother and me all the real equipment, they still had them, and he explained how they would use them. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure they got rid of them because people were probably breaking their necks or missing or
Right.
catching the edge of the net, or even the firefighters would be getting kicked in the head.
Oh, jeez.
So, so they stopped doing that,
Mhm.
and maybe even that was with the advance of the aerial ladders and whatnot, and cherry pickers who could
Right.
pull people out rather than have them jump.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a fire suppression blanket.
Yeah.
Very cool. Wow, all the stuff is really neat. Boy, oh boy, you could really recruit little firefighters here.
Yeah. Right.
Now, I didn't have anything this elaborate for you, so that's why you're not a firefighter. You didn't-
Well, I followed you in your footsteps in
I
your
know,
profession as being
I
an
know.
educator.
I know.
But yeah, so like we are a family that we work in service of other people.
Yeah.
And I think that's it's one of those things that we don't typically make a point of. That's not why we do the things that we do. But I feel like in this climate of today, I think it's important to point out, like, look at the effort, the human effort that exists throughout the world of people putting in and going above and beyond for others.
Yeah. And look at the other end of people who just grow up just selfish, just focusing on themselves. Where I think that firefighter families, teacher families, maybe doctor families, medical families, that the kids in the family grow up with that sense of doing for others.
Mhm.
And if the parents are happy, then the kids pretty much will go into it, as happened with us. I was
Right.
always happy as a teacher and administrator.
Mhm.
And both my kids now are
Yeah.
administrators and teachers. But the cops I know really get into it.
But
just
people
like
go
the
into it too,
firefighters
right?
that I know
Exactly.
get into it for all the right reasons, knowing that they're never going to make a whole lot of money,
Right.
but they're going to be saving people, helping
Right.
people.
The majority of these professions, the overwhelming majority of people that do them, want to help people.
Yeah.
So
I think
But
I can even think of a couple of times where we were out on the road and we saw an accident or whatever, and you and I got out of the car to go see if we could help.
yeah.
And it's part of that philosophy of trying to help people. They're in need. If we can help them, let's help them.
And so for you, this obviously started, but like in your life by seeing your father and growing up in a firefighter household. So he was a captain.
Yeah.
So he was a captain in East Orange.
Yes. Going back even further, I mean, talking about firefighter family, his grandfather, I believe, died on the job as a firefighter in Newark on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day back around the turn of the last century. That they got into an accident. Somebody hit their fire apparatus going to the fire, and he fell off the truck or whatever and got killed.
Jeez.
But that was my father's grandfather. But he also had an uncle who worked on the Newark fireboat and another uncle who was a captain in the East Orange Fire Department. Now, my father, as a kid growing up in the Depression in New Jersey with a single mom, because his father, coming back from World War I, probably had been gassed, he had been wounded, and he died young, leaving 3 little kids.
Jeez.
So in the Depression, he was kind of almost pushed into the fire department as a job that would be secure. It wouldn't pay a lot, but it was a job at a time when jobs were hard to find,
Yeah.
when a dollar was hard to find. So he, before World War II, before he got drafted, he entered the fire department in East Orange. So that might have been in 1939 or 40 or 41, I don't know. And he served a couple of years before he got drafted. When he came back, he continued to work as a firefighter, went back to work as a firefighter, even passed on other possible jobs that might have brought a lot more money into the family.
Yeah.
But it was secure, and he was a firefighter, and he's doing stuff that he liked. And, just continued the tradition.
Yeah. Yeah.
So me growing up, I thought my brother and I would go to the firehouse with my father on payday.
Yeah.
Because back then, they were paid with a check on payday, once a month or whenever it was. And it was typical that the guys would come in and get their check and then go to the bank and then buy their groceries and all that stuff. So on a time, if payday fell on a time when my brother and I, when my father first was off and my brother and I were not in school, he would take us with him and typically turn us loose to go and climb on the fire trucks and whatever, Well, he would go down into the break room and talk with guys on the other shift that was working that day. But he would always say, if the alarm goes off, get away from the trucks, stand right over here, which is a spot out of the way. Keep away from the pole, because back then they had the poles that firefighters would slide down. And other than that, my brother and I were free to roam and, ring the bells. We would hit the siren, but never crazy, because we knew we'd get into trouble. That somebody come up and really they would just yell at us.
Yeah.
They all understood, because they all had kids who would do the same thing.
Sure.
But, ring the bells and climb on the ladders and whatever. And we were smart enough, I guess. We were given enough information on the type of things that could hurt us. And also we knew we would get in trouble.
Yeah, right.
We weren't going to take an axe and start chopping at a ladder or a wall or whatever. But I had a friend in high school. His father was a firefighter in Newark, and comparing these stories, did the same thing. So it was very typical for a father firefighter to bring the kids to the firehouse and turn them loose. Right. And it's a macho type of thing. Yeah, go ahead, man, climb on it.
And were there were moments that if he was at home and he would have to get called to the station? Were there
it was rare, but multiple alarm fires.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And in fact, early on, firefighters had to live in the town where they worked, so they would be available for that.
Yeah.
After the 60s, maybe, it just commonly became a thing where there were multiple aid agreements with other cities. So firefighters who now didn't have to stay living in the city, so they would just, like East Orange would call Bloomfield or Montclair or a local town to come and help out.
Okay.
Or to cover their firehouses while they went to, everybody in town was working on a fire. In fact, back during the Newark riots in 1967, my father, being in East Orange, a town adjacent to Newark, they were covering the firehouses while the Newark firefighters on the job were putting out fires around the city. But,
well, the reason that popped in mind, because I can't imagine, because it's hard for me to think of that situation where you're, because as a principal, you weren't getting called out in the middle of the night. So I'm just wondering, if you were, how did that feel as a kid, knowing that there was that, your father's racing off to.
That was rare.
That was rare. Okay.
But no, it was just here I go. I'm going to the job, and he wouldn't make a big deal out of it, because he was just a professional, and he knew he'd find whatever he was going to find when he got there. And didn't want to set my mother off or everybody to worry about him. So it's here I go. There's multiple alarms, so I got to go in.
So it was just downplayed. But see, that's what I mean. Like the stuff that we do as people to protect even the mentality of your family members, the things that that's what I mean. Like growing up, that still affected you. Having that worry, even if it's not being something that's being downplayed. I'm sure it was still, because I worried about you going to work just in general. When I was little, when I was 5 years old.
I can't remember really worrying. Just kind of assumed that he would do what he had to do, and everybody would do what they had to do, and everything would be okay. But my mother had her experiences that she would call on. She was a very religious person, and she would be praying and praying and praying, that he would come home safe. Because she said at one point he did. She did get the call that he got burned in a fire, and she said, I made novenas that he wouldn't be scarred, and came out of it, and I never saw any scars. So he did get out okay. But I don't know exactly what happened, and my father didn't bring firehouse stories home. Maybe a joke, maybe something funny that happened in the firehouse, but he wouldn't tell war stories at home. So the only time that I would hear war stories is if we were on vacation, and my father's brother-in-laws, my mother's brothers, whatever, would corner him in the kitchen while the women were somewhere else and say, hey, what's it really like?
Yeah.
You had any really good fires? And as a little kid, in the times that he didn't notice I was standing there listening, that's when I would hear a couple of war stories and maybe a couple of jokes too.
Right.
They would tell in mixed company.
Oh man. Well, Dad, I could keep talking. In all honesty, we're gonna end up continuing these conversations because I I even said before you walked in that I feel like I haven't been doing a good enough job, like asking these type of questions to hear about your life journey to where you are here today, and with me here next to you, and grandkids playing in the backyard. So I really
This is stuff that they'll be able to hear
yeah.
later on as they get bigger and they can appreciate it. Like right now, they're at the age that I was, hanging around and listening to the adults talking about their experiences. You know? Yeah.
So is there any chance that you'd want this guy like on your desk? Would you ever mess with him?
I don't have an office desk anymore, so no, thank you.
That's fair.
No.
That is fair. All right. Well, I'll make sure you're going to get some hands-on experience. Well, I'm going to teach him some posing, so we'll get some posing practice in. Try to get some realistic setups going
between the Halligan tool and the axes here, and even the jaws of life. And by the way, I did get to use these things.
Oh, nice.
At one point as an adult, I as a teacher and a coach, I took the EMT course so I could help any kid that got injured in a athletic event or whatever.
Yeah.
And the second time I took the course, I was involved in teaching part of it, but we got involved with the Newark Fire Department. And they had us use the equipment, the jaws of life. They actually put us into turnout coats and Scott masks and set a fire in the Newark Fire Tower for us to crawl through and experience what it's like when you really can't see. Right. And that's not fog, that's smoke. And it could kill you. But the firefighters themselves would be standing around smoking cigars as we were crawling through experiencing this. But I actually did get to use a lot of this equipment in training. Right. So, yeah.
Well, this has been so much fun. I mean, I have more questions, but off camera, his wife, my mother, was giving us the wrap it up because we have a whole day. So I hope you guys I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed meeting my dad.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Man. There we go.
Yeah.
So
say goodbye to G.I. Joe.
Verdict is it's really cool.
Firefighter Joe.
He won't own one, but I will. I'll have them.
Put on your desk.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for checking out the video. And just so you know, just a reminder that almost every single Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I go live to talk about life and toys. So hope to see you in the chat one of these days. In the meantime, have a great rest of yours now.
Here is life in the toy.
Bye, everybody.